Lee has always been home to Louise Quill, who works as a primary school teacher in the nearby town of Killorglin. But her beloved students in Scolvura are but a small fraction of the hundreds of children whose lives she has changed. Louise's influence has stretched far beyond her home country to Africa, where her efforts have had a dramatic impact on the lives of many children. A fateful decision she made back in 2006 means she now divides her life between Ireland and the African country of Tanzania.
I was just finishing college in UCC. I was 22 years of age at the time, and it had been a lifelong dream of mine to go to some part of Africa. I didn't really care which part. And I signed up to be a volunteer with this organisation, and I happened to be placed in Kilimanjaro region in Tanzania. While I was there working, I could see a huge need for a facility for the children of Tanzania. When I used to drive through the Tanzanian countryside, I could see just so many children out on the roadside. They were tending sheep and cattle. And it just struck me, I was like, none of these children are in school, none of them have an education, and what's the future going to be like for them? I found that very sad.
During her 3 months in Kilimanjaro, she immersed herself in caring for and teaching very young children, many of whom were orphaned or abandoned. Over the days and weeks in Tanzania, she bonded with these children and felt overwhelmed by the fragility of their existence. She realised that small amounts of money in Irish terms could do much to improve the lives of these children who had touched her heart. While there, Louise became close to a local couple, Monica and her husband, Pastor Tukai, who were trying to help but were frustrated by the lack of facilities. She felt she could not return to her comfortable life in Ireland without making an ongoing commitment. She enlisted the clergyman and Monica, and they agreed to set up a group to run a new orphanage and school. They called this organisation Tír na nÓg.
Even the whole name, Tír na nÓg, I said, what will I call the organisation? And I said, Tír na nÓg, Land of the Young. There's so many young people there. And then the other side to that, I suppose, for me was so many children in Tanzania actually don't live to see their 5th birthday, so they die, and like that, they're forever in the land of the young.
The Tír na nÓg orphanage, which is home to 57 children, is nestled in the foothills of the highest mountain in Africa, Mount Kilimanjaro, in Tanzania. Almost 60 million people live in Tanzania, and nearly half of them are under the age of 15.
Jambo.
Louise thinks of herself as mother to all 57 children, and because of what they say is her big heart, they call her Big Mama.
I don't know, I always feel that my own role in life, I don't know, was I ever a person that was born to procreate myself? I didn't ever feel that about myself. But then when I fell into this other life at only 21, I was like, maybe there's a reason for all of this. Maybe there's something in me that's fueling all this and driving all this. And I just thought, there's so many children that are alive today and nobody wants them. So what's wrong with people like me and Derek wanting to give them something, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Because they're already here, they've already been born, and we should be able to look after them.
Her husband Derek, who's also a primary school teacher, is equally devoted to them.
Well, I was actually quite nervous going out for the first time. But honestly, we arrived late at night and we went in to see the children briefly because it was so late. But instantly, when I saw them, they were so small, because I'd been looking at pictures and Louise would have had a digital camera, and we would have just been scrolling through the pictures, and then to see them in real life, I was like, oh my God, I recognise that girl's face, I recognise that little guy. And it was just, I fell in love with them instantly, really.
Louise and Derek initially got married in Ireland, but did it all over again in Kilimanjaro to the delight of their African family. On the Irish side of Tír na nÓg, there are 3 voluntary directors and a committee of 8 people who, together with Monica and Pastor Tukai, make all important decisions. Louise and Derek visit the orphanage several times a year, and Louise is helpfully now fluent in Swahili. Tír na nÓg has built 3 new structures to care for and educate not only the children from the orphanage, but hundreds of others also.
We have 2- and 3-year-olds in the daycare centre. A lot of those children would have been left on their own while their mothers and fathers would have tried and go to work. So we've got a kindergarten, 2 kindergarten classes, and we have 30 children in kindergarten at the minute. And in our primary school, right now on roll, we've got 250 pupils. So in total, we probably educate over 400 children every day, but we also feed them 2 hot meals every day, which coming from their families, they might not be getting that.
Over the 15 years since the founding of Tír na nÓg, much has been achieved as the children grow up. Not only are they educated in its primary school, but Tír na nÓg now pays its students fees when they go on to second level, as all secondary schools in Tanzania are boarding schools.
We have some children who have ended up getting scholarships and would have gotten into the best schools in Tanzania. So our children are actually dotted all around the country.
Proficiency in English is also essential.
Because when they go into secondary, all of the textbooks now are in English. So if they haven't had the English language from primary, a lot of them will fail in the secondary system, and a lot of children actually drop out at that stage because they can't keep up. Education is the passport to getting out of poverty, and it's the only thing that will really break that cycle as well.
In 2013, when Limerick dentist Paul O'Connell climbed Kilimanjaro, he also visited Tír na nÓg. He was so moved by the plight of the children that he became a major financial supporter.
My son was about a year and a half old at the time I went, and I guess, it must have played a part in how I felt about the whole thing. When I was seeing what the kids had to eat, which was the best they could get, but it wasn't much, I kind of felt to myself, well, there but for the grace of God goes my child.
And in a bid to increase awareness of Tír na nÓg, he sponsored the award-winning documentary Kilimanjaro Mama, which is now available and free to view on YouTube.
For anyone who's seen it, it's an amazing film. I watched it again last night, and it's hard not to choke up when you see it,
But the greatest challenge facing Tír na nÓg is the extremely poor condition of the rented accommodation where the children live.
The first one is the boys' toilet, second is the girls', and the last one is the shower at the end, which is just a tap on the wall. We don't really have a proper shower. And also, when our kindergarten is in full swing, all of those children use these toilets as well, so that would be another 30 kids on top of that.
Despite numerous repairs, it's simply not fit to live in. It was built for 25, and there are now 57 children with babies and toddlers having to live separately in a farmhouse because there's just no room for them.
Long term now, we want to build our own children's village, is what it's called. So we've teamed up with an NGO from London called Article 25, and they're a humanitarian architectural charity, and our ethos is very similar because we believe in employing the people there and empowering the people there and giving them the jobs, So we're building 6 cottage-style houses because we want the children to have that lovely family feel, so that when they come home, there's a mama waiting for them at the door. She can do the homework with them, she can wash their uniforms, make sure that they're being looked after properly as the individual child. Eating in Swahili culture is very important, so we've one communal dining hall that everybody is going to meet up in the afternoon just to talk and to share stories and to eat and to spend time together.
Tír na nÓg totally depends on fundraising, and to achieve Louise's ultimate dream of creating these family homes for the children, substantial money must be raised.
Everything is voluntary, as are we. We get absolutely no expenses whatsoever. Every last penny goes to those children, goes to the home. It's all children.
And those who sponsor an individual child on an ongoing basis form the mainstay of Tír na nÓg and keep the orphanage and school going.
Now, we give a guideline of €25 a month, but some people give more, some people give less, and that's fine. Everybody just gives what they can.
Louise's passion for Tír na nÓg is all-consuming.
When you have this amount of children and you're always trying to look after everybody, you know, your head can be just so full of things that are going on, or what happened next, or if one of them is sick, or one of them is in trouble, or you just look, anything that comes with having children, I suppose. It's a worry. They are a worry.
Nyomba, niko hapa, habari ya asubuhi nyomba.
Sometimes if a child is sick, you know, we're getting told by the doctors and in the hospital that they're not going to survive, and it's very difficult to deal with that. It is a hard thing to listen to if someone does say, oh look, the baby isn't going to survive, and that kind of stuff. It can keep you awake at night, and you know, but all we can do is just pray like that they'll pull through. But this happens time and time again, you know, it's not a new thing, but it is still, you never get used to it. You can't ever become desensitized to something like that. You wouldn't be human.
Louise is often advised to live her own life, that she's done enough. But, she says, people don't realise what the children give to her and to Derek.
I suppose it really cemented the fact a few years ago when one of the older girls, she just asked me to come into the dorm room with her, and she said, I just want to let you know how special you are. When we lie in bed at night and we think that nobody loves us, she said, all we have to do is close our eyes and think of you. And she said, we know we're very much loved.
It's so rewarding for me personally. I'm so proud of those children, you know, because I've seen them since they were 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and now, as I said, the older ones are going to college, and it's amazing, you know, and I'm so proud of them.
It does change lives, it does make a difference. You know, we can see it firsthand. Somebody asked me recently if I could go back to that 22-year-old and have a chat with her, what would you tell her to do? And I wouldn't change a thing. I do it all exactly the same way.